Hey everybody, it's the Epistemologers here today, and our topic of the day is the Mandela Effect. And we have some thoughts and some theories on how this actually works and why it works. We actually have 4 main theories, and all of these could be right. Some of them could be wrong.
Put it this way. It depends on the case.
Yeah.
So each case, it might be one of these possible causes.
Yes.
So we can just list out the causes.
Right. And our first one is going to be fairly mundane and very, understandable, right? And that's the case specifically of the Berenstain Bears. Pretty easy to understand how everyone, or a big group of people, could hear it pronounced Berenstain, because that is a very, common German Jewish name, not Berenstein, and also
Or Berenstain.
Yeah,
because I've heard Stein, and all have German roots.
Yeah,
but Berenstain is the actual spelling. It's A-I-N, not E-I-N.
And it's written in cursive, which is kind of
so people will pass over it, and I think it's understandable that we would make this mistake toward the more familiar spelling.
Right.
Like, a lot of people will say the name, they won't look at it too much. The cursive makes it a kind of logo, so you pass over it every time. Like, it's just incidental figure in your mind, and then you just read through the book, and we all build the same kind of memory by mistake. And
parents read it to their children, who then pass on the mispronunciation.
And then we're all shocked that we misremembered it in this particular way.
Right.
So the case number 1 would be faulty memory, and the Berenstain Bears is an example of that.
Yeah. All right.
On to case number 2. I can take that.
Yep.
So case 2 is media manipulation and gaslighting. So gaslighting is promoting an alternate history. If you do it long enough, a victim they might be uncomfortable at first. They might be angry or confused, or they feel like they're going crazy. But then after a while, they start to absorb it because they don't like feeling of being crazy. Consciousness likes to feel like everything's sane. So it will drive towards the most comfortable worldview. Tends to. So gaslighting does work to shape people's perceptions of what's going on. So you can build a history of the world, and you might introduce a new history that doesn't feature something. Like, let's say a movie was made. There's this movie that people are always saying, this is a Mandela Effect. I don't know if this is a good example of this particular case, because I don't know what caused it. But let's say, for sake of argument, that the movie with Sinbad, where he was a genie, was a case of they use media manipulation to scrub it from history. Actually, I have a better example. The giants. The giants of antiquity. The Smithsonian Institute is said to have been on a mission for a long time to recover giant skeletons and wherever they're found, and dispose of them, and basically cover up evidence that giants ever existed.
And there was reportedly people who remember the Chicago Museum having a giant, skeleton, like an 18-foot tall skeleton. I don't know how many feet it was, but a giant skeleton on display.
It might have just been 11 feet or something.
Yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter. Just something ridiculous on display in the museum, and that was like an attraction. And they remember it from, the 60s or whatever period of time that it was. And now it's no longer there. Nobody's mentioned it. It was just quietly packed up one day, and, people remember
and
it.
they do such an effective job
Yeah.
of controlling the information around it. People don't talk about it. They deny it ever existed. There's nothing in print. Like, nothing survives.
I think I might have like a newspaper clipping
Right.
somewhere on the internet that describes it, but no picture is shown, and just kind of lost into the annals of history. You just don't see it anymore.
Although I have found newspaper clippings do evade some of these.
Yeah,
these search and destroy.
But then at that point it's just like, come see this thing, and you can never really. It's not a picture or anything. You just maybe
photographs
it was there?
wouldn't be allowed because either it was before the, let's say,
the common widespread usage of photography.
Yeah, or they just didn't like their attraction being publicly
shown.
available. Shown. Yeah. So maybe it was just hard to find, and then it was just easy to scrub. So yeah, you can have big organizations with a lot of influence just change history.
Yep.
Arbitrarily to suit themselves, because history is written by the victors, and the victor is a powerful, influential thing that likes to make themselves look great and likes to protect their assets, and so they're going to attempt to manipulate worldview, the public perception, the education system, the history books, and on and on and on and on.
Well, people thought Columbus was a hero, and who knows? And even though the records were extremely clear, exceedingly clear, that he was not a hero. He was, you had his own men going, "You're an insane person. We need to get you out of here." And they're writing in their journals about this, but they wanted a hero, so Columbus was a hero.
Yeah, so this case is also rather mundane.
Yeah.
It's a little conspiratorial. Okay, a lot conspiratorial. But still within the realm of what's
what's understood, what's known.
What's known.
You can do that. If you repeat a lie often enough, it becomes true, right? Sort of that. Yeah. You can understand how that manipulation could occur.
Okay, but the third case is a bit more metaphysical because it relies on the idea that we are in a plethora of observable universes, a broader multiverse of different dimensions, and our consciousness is really just riding the wave of that. So this is the hard one to explain, but essentially, like I mentioned before, consciousness likes to find the path of least resistance through this, and it wants to experience it sort of leisurely. It doesn't want to take paths that are too much of a leap for it. So it's just too uncomfortable. But every observable universe is independent and cannot be merged with other universes without creating conflicts. So it's what holds them logically distinct as independent observable universes is because if you merge them, there would be a clash, a conflict. For example, we'll go back to particle physics. Particle can be physically in position A or position B, and and because of that, there's a universe for each. There's a universe where it is in particle A or position A, and then there's a universe in which it's in position B. And let's say that's the only point of difference between these universes. But if you were to try to merge them, combine them into one, you create a particle that's in two locations and it violates the locality rule. Yeah. It's a law, physical law, that says that a particle can only be in one position in one place per universe. So in order to get this thing to work in a coherent way, you have to hold these universes apart, at least that one particle. So you have to say that one particle has a counterpart in that universe and it has a counterpart in this universe. And if they ever end up finding their position to accidentally come together at any point, then those two universes suddenly become identical again. And that actually means that from then on, you can physically have a timeline where the past used to be split.
Yeah.
I don't know if you see where I'm going with this.
I see what you're going with it.
But sometimes that incoherence to create the merge, that's actually created by your consciousness, by the way. The merge, you're subconsciously correcting for the conflict.
Right.
So you pick a universe where it's most comfortable to do so. But you have this physical possibility that what you're looking at used to be in both locations, even though it can't be in both locations in one universe. So hence the two universes.
Right.
But if you made this switch to a different universe, because you're constantly doing that moment to moment to moment to moment, sometimes there can be discrepancies that pile up, and you have a holographic memory. You're pulling knowledge, or not pulling, but knowledge is building up along timelines. So you will have the experience of each timeline you have a counterpart in. And if you ever experience a merge of timelines, you'll see that there are points of conflict and just something that's not coherent. And sometimes you'll pass it off as just something you don't understand, because what else are you going to do?
Right. Or something that you misremembered.
Something that you misremembered. It might just be just like you just had a brain problem.
I thought I placed my keys on the table. I don't know where they went.
Right. I don't know if things like deja vu come into this or anything like that.
Yeah. I had a thought about deja vu, which
might be worth thinking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or any other effects, but sometimes the Mandela Effect would be something like this.
And Mandela, I think the actual Mandela, where its namesake comes from, is probably the best example that I can think of for it. Because people remember Mandela dying in, 1990? 1980?
80 something?
Something.
86.
And
you can look it up.
Nelson Mandela, is he still alive? He's at least...
No, he died in the 2000s. Sometime.
Yeah, he died. So you have the people who watched the actual Mandela funeral that died in the 2000s going, I remember distinctly that Mandela died in 1980, whatever.
Right.
And
did he fake his death?
Did he fake his death? What happened?
Yeah.
And so that could be a good example of the third case, because it's not like Berenstain, where you could see a real reasonable explanation why everyone would think it's Berenstain. But
I guess it could be like the second case too, where you have, because he's a political figure, maybe they're trying to throw him.
Maybe.
Whatever.
It could be a gaslight. I don't know. Or maybe they. But no, it just doesn't. It's weird.
But how about this other one? Do you remember Stouffer's stovetop dressing?
I do remember, and it was I don't remember it, but I know of this case.
The story.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have this memory of Stouffer's stovetop dressing, and that's how I remembered it for a long time.
I never remember it being Kraft, which is what it is now. It's Kraft stovetop stuffing, right?
Yeah.
That apparently has been the one. I never remember a red going into a store and seeing a red box that said Kraft. I mean, you see it for macaroni and cheese, but never for stuffing. That was so that is kind of weird to me. I don't ever remember it being Kraft or branded as Kraft. So that is.
We seem to have a tendency to have Mandela effects center around human created symbols. Or human technology, or
icons,
yeah, things that I haven't heard too many things that isn't human created, which is an interesting pattern.
Yeah.
But yeah, so another case, the fourth case of what a Mandela effect could be, is actually, it comes by way of Cliff High that I've heard a while back, but I actually see this as a subset of case 3.
Right.
But it is that a side effect of tinkering with quantum computation.
Right.
And because quantum computation is working with technology that will create a universal computer that can work with quantum phenomena. And this is going to give it the capability of doing the things that consciousness does. Because it as part of its mechanism, it's going to be able to work with information in quantum states and build multidimensional models, which is something our minds do all the time.
To be
internally, yeah.
To be sure, he describes this. You have to understand how they work at this moment is why he thinks that this is happening. How it works at this moment is they're trying to remove consciousness from the process of quantum computing. Right now, we have, with humans, that's ingrained, right? And with many other things, consciousness is just pervasive. And trying to remove consciousness out kind of creates a wave effect or a concentration of consciousness that then affects the broader world wherever these quantum devices, quantum computers are being utilized, right?
Yeah, so you might create rifts that where the wave effect creates a differential wave,
right,
between universes that we have to jump.
Yep.
It's like the wake of a boat.
Yes.
Going by you, and it jostles you more than normal. And that has effects in your perception of the world, your memory of it, and so on. So, right. It can come through as the Mandela Effect, but I do see this as a case of number 3. Number 3 seems to be more like the natural caused thing, because we're all naturally moving from universe to universe. It just tends to be that normal, peaceful lakeside, or you're on a still
you're on
lake,
a nice still lake, and you're not
on a boat,
just chilling out.
But with quantum computation, we're actually directly shaping that, and it will have knock-on effects, and that they could be quite jarring. So we might be, with this technology, having side effects of bigger Mandela effects that we wouldn't have normally seen.
Perhaps so.
So,
well, I think that's a good place to stop it. We were the Epistemologers. I'm T. That was Aza. And please comment or don't comment, and then let the Mandela Effect comment for you. And also subscribe twice, and in all of the multiverses. And we'll catch you next time.
Unsubscribe?
Well, maybe. It is a superposition of both states.
Yeah, go for it.